Men, one of the hardest truths to accept is this. Sometimes you're not her first choice. You're just her backup. She'll keep you close enough so you don't walk away, but never give you the respect or priority you deserve. Today, I'll reveal 6 attitudes that prove she sees you as a backup, not a priority. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and comment if you've ever felt like you were second place. It could save another man from wasting his time. Attitude 1. She's always too busy for you. This is perhaps the most common attitude that reveals backup status. She consistently has excuses about work, friends, family obligations, or being tired when it comes to spending quality time with you. But somehow, she always manages to find time for others when it really matters to her. Here's the psychology behind this behavior. People make time for what they prioritize. When someone is genuinely interested in you, they naturally want to spend time with you and will rearrange their schedule to make it happen. When you're a backup option, you get the leftover time after everything else she considers more important. The most revealing aspect isn't that she's busy. Everyone has legitimate responsibilities. It's the pattern of priorities that becomes clear over time. She's too tired for a date with you, but has energy for a girls' night out. She can't make time for a phone conversation, but spends hours texting friends. She's too busy for your plans, but somehow manages to accommodate last-minute requests from others. This attitude serves a specific purpose in keeping you as a backup. It maintains your interest while avoiding real commitment. By occasionally agreeing to spend time with you, she keeps you hoping and invested. By frequently being too busy, she avoids the deeper connection that would come with consistent, prioritized attention. Watch for the difference between genuine busy periods and convenient excuses. Someone who truly values you will communicate about their scheduled challenges and make effort to find alternative times to connect. Someone who sees you as a backup will use busyness as a standard response without offering solutions or alternatives. Pay attention to how she handles unexpected free time. Does she reach out to spend that time with you, or do you find out later that she used it for other activities? The person she calls when she suddenly has free time reveals who she actually prioritizes. Notice how she responds when you express disappointment about cancelled plans or lack of time together. Someone who values you will acknowledge your feelings and work to find solutions. Someone who sees you as a backup will become defensive or dismiss your concerns as neediness. The most telling indicator is her energy levels around different people and activities. If she's consistently too tired for you but seems to have plenty of energy for others, that energy allocation reveals her true priorities and where you rank in her life. Attitude 2. She's hot and cold with attention. This psychological pattern involves alternating between periods of warmth and affection, followed by distance and disinterest. One day she's texting you constantly, being affectionate and making you feel special. The next day she's cold, unresponsive, and treating you like you're bothering her. This hot and cold behavior serves a specific psychological purpose. It keeps you in a state of uncertainty that actually increases your investment in the relationship. When someone gives you intermittent reinforcement, sometimes rewarding your attention and sometimes withholding it, you become more focused on trying to figure out how to get the positive response consistently. The psychology behind this is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's one of the most powerful tools for keeping someone emotionally hooked. When you never know whether you're going to get warmth or coldness, you start working harder to earn the positive attention, which keeps you invested even when the treatment is inconsistent. Here's how this typically manifests. She sends you sweet, flirty messages for a few days, making you feel like you're building something special. Then she becomes distant, taking hours to respond to texts, giving one-word answers, or seeming annoyed by your attempts to connect. Just when you start to pull back, she becomes warm again, pulling you back in. This attitude reveals backup status because it shows she's managing your emotional investment rather than genuinely responding to her feelings about you. Someone who sees you as a priority has more consistent feelings and behavior because their emotional investment is steady. Someone who sees you as a backup regulates their attention to keep you interested without becoming too attached herself. The hot periods serve to maintain your hope and investment. During these times, she gives you just enough positive attention to make you believe that the relationship has potential, and that the cold periods were just temporary mood issues or stress-related problems. The cold periods serve to maintain her emotional distance and prevent you from expecting too much consistency or priority in her life. They also test how much inconsistency you'll tolerate, gradually training you to accept lower standards of treatment. Watch for patterns in when the hot and cold phases occur. Does she become warm when she needs something from you, when she's feeling lonely, or when she senses you might be pulling away? Does she become cold after you've shown increased investment, or when she has other social options available? Pay attention to how these cycles affect your own behavior and emotional state. If you find yourself constantly trying to figure out what you did wrong during the cold phases, or working harder to recreate the connection from the hot phases, you're responding to intermittent reinforcement rather than experiencing a genuine relationship. Attitude 3. She avoids making future plans with you. A woman who sees you as a priority naturally thinks about the future with you and wants to make plans that include you in her life. Someone who sees you as a backup consistently avoids discussions about future plans, long-term goals, or any commitments that would position you as a permanent part of her life. This avoidance manifests in multiple ways. When you bring up vacation plans, she's non-committal or changes the subject. When you mention events happening months from now, she says, "We'll see," instead of showing enthusiasm about experiencing them together. When conversations turn to life goals, career moves, or major decisions, she frames everything in individual terms rather than partnership terms. The psychology behind this attitude is straightforward. Making future plans requires emotional investment and implies commitment. If she sees you as a backup, she doesn't want to make commitments that might limit her options or create expectations about your role in her life. Here's what this looks like in practice. You suggest planning a trip for next summer, and she deflects with comments about not knowing what her schedule will look like. You mention a concert 6 months away, and she avoids committing because anything could happen between now and then. You bring up meeting her extended family at an upcoming event, and she finds reasons why the timing might not work. This attitude serves to keep her options open while maintaining your current connection. By avoiding future commitments, she can continue to benefit from your attention and investment without having to position you as a long-term priority in her life planning. The most sophisticated version of this involves giving vague, positive responses that seem encouraging but don't actually commit to anything specific. She might say, "That sounds fun," about future plans, but never take concrete steps to make them happen. Or, "Maybe we could do that," without ever following through with actual planning. Watch for how she responds to different types of future planning. Is she equally avoidant about small plans like next weekend's activities and big plans like holiday travel? Someone who sees you as a priority will naturally engage in both short-term and long-term planning with you. Pay attention to the language she uses when discussing the future. Does she use we language or I language? Does she naturally include you in her mental picture of upcoming months and years? Or does she consistently frame future discussions as individual decisions that may or may not include you? Notice how she talks about her future plans with others compared to how she discusses plans with you. If she makes concrete future commitments with friends, family, or work colleagues, but remains vague about future plans with you, that disparity reveals where you rank in her priorities. The most telling indicator is her reaction when you try to pin down specific future plans. Someone who values you will work through scheduling challenges to make plans happen. Someone who sees you as a backup will consistently find reasons why specific commitments can't be made. Attitude 4. She gets defensive when questioned. When you express concerns about your place in her life or question the inconsistencies in her behavior, instead of addressing your legitimate observations, she immediately becomes defensive and turns the conversation back on you. Phrases like, "Why are you so insecure?" or "You're being paranoid" become her standard responses to deflect from examining her own behavior. This defensive attitude serves as a psychological shield that prevents deeper examination of the relationship dynamics while making you question your own perceptions. Instead of explaining her behavior or addressing your concerns, she attacks your right to have those concerns in the first place. The reason this tactic is so effective is that it exploits your natural desire to be seen as confident and secure. When she labels your legitimate concerns as insecurity or paranoia, you often end up defending your character instead of getting answers about her behavior. This shifts the focus away from her actions and onto your supposed character flaws. Here's how this typically plays out. You mention that you feel like you're not a priority in her life, and instead of discussing specific examples or explaining her perspective, she responds with, "I can't believe you're this insecure. I'm with you. Isn't that enough?" Suddenly, you're explaining why you brought up the concern instead of getting clarity about where you actually stand. This defensive response serves multiple purposes for someone who sees you as a backup. It stops uncomfortable conversations before they can reveal the truth about her priorities. It makes you less likely to bring up concerns in the future, and it gives her moral justification for continuing to treat you as a secondary option by framing your need for clarity as a personal weakness. The most manipulative version of this involves turning your relationship needs into character attacks. Wanting consistent attention becomes neediness. Expecting communication becomes controlling behavior. Asking for clarity about your status becomes insecurity that's pushing her away. This attitude is particularly revealing because someone who genuinely values you wants to understand your concerns and address them constructively. They don't immediately become defensive when you express feelings about the relationship because they care about your emotional well-being and want to work through issues together. Watch for how she responds to different types of relationship conversations. Does she become equally defensive about small concerns and major relationship discussions? Someone who sees you as a priority will differentiate between minor issues and important relationship conversations. Pay attention to whether she ever takes responsibility for her role in relationship concerns or consistently makes everything your fault. Someone who values you will acknowledge when their behavior contributes to problems and will work toward solutions. Notice the difference between how she handles criticism from you versus criticism from others. If she can accept feedback from friends, family, or co-workers, but becomes consistently defensive with you, that disparity reveals something important about how she views your opinions and concerns. The most telling aspect is whether these defensive reactions lead to any positive changes in behavior or just end the conversation. Someone who genuinely cares about your concerns will eventually modify their behavior, even if they're initially defensive. Someone who sees you as a backup uses defensiveness to avoid making any real changes. Attitude 5. She puts other people ahead of you. This attitude is perhaps the most straightforward indicator of backup status, but it's also the one that men most often make excuses for. Friends, co-workers, family members, and even casual acquaintances consistently receive priority over you when it comes to time, attention, and energy. The pattern reveals itself in countless small situations. She cancels plans with you to attend a co-worker's last-minute event, but wouldn't cancel plans with close friends to spend time with you. She responds to other people's texts immediately, but takes hours to reply to yours. She makes herself available when others need her help, but is often unavailable when you need support. This prioritization pattern isn't about her having other important relationships. Everyone should maintain friendships and family connections. It's about where you consistently rank when choices need to be made about time and attention allocation. Here's what this looks like in practice. You've made dinner plans, but she cancels because a friend wants to grab drinks. You need support during a difficult time, but she's too busy helping an acquaintance with their problems. You want to spend the weekend together, but she's committed to various social activities that don't include you. The psychology behind this attitude is revealing. People prioritize what matters most to them. When someone consistently chooses others over you, they're showing you through their actions where you rank in their life priorities. You're getting the leftover attention after everyone else's needs are met. This attitude serves to keep you in backup status by establishing a clear hierarchy where you're consistently near the bottom. It trains you to accept lower priority while maintaining just enough connection to keep you available when other options aren't present. Watch for patterns in how she makes choices when conflicts arise. Does she ever choose you over other social options, or do you consistently get deprioritized? Someone who values you will sometimes choose your plans over other opportunities because spending time with you matters to them. Pay attention to how she communicates these priority decisions. Does she apologize genuinely and try to make alternative plans, or does she expect you to automatically understand that other things are more important? Someone who sees you as a priority feels bad about disappointing you and works to minimize the impact. Notice the types of people and activities that consistently take precedence over you. Are they always the same friends, or is it anyone who provides a more appealing option than spending time with you? This pattern reveals whether you're being deprioritized for specific important relationships or just consistently ranked lower than other social options. The most telling indicator is her reaction when you express disappointment about being deprioritized. Someone who values you will recognize that constantly putting others first is hurtful and will make efforts to balance their priorities better. Someone who sees you as a backup will defend their right to prioritize others and make you feel selfish for wanting more consideration.